What's up, cool kids? John here from What's Johnny Watching. So a couple of days ago, I put out a video asking everyone out there if they would like to see what I have in my collection. I know a lot of people have done that, and I just didn't know if you guys would be interested in that. Well, I really haven't put out a video explaining why I collect physical media, and that's really important. Physical media is a real big part of my life. So I felt it was necessary for me to put out a video explaining why I collect physical media and why I'll always collect it. And it's kind of, I sort of explained a little bit of it when I was on KB's show last week, but I really didn't go into it at great length. And so now I'm going to. But before I get into it, don't forget to hit that like and that subscribe button and click that notification bell so I can keep bringing you more of these videos. So let's get into it. And it starts back when I was a child. Movies have always been a big part of my life when I was growing up. You know, me and my brother, my parents would load us up into the car and take us to the drive-in. You know, when you have two little kids, you really don't want to take them to the theater because, you know, they're crying, laughing, or whatever. So we would always load up the car and go to the drive-in. And I remember the first movie that I ever saw, it was E.T., you know, at the drive-in. I was a little kid, but I still have that image of the bicycle going over the moon and everything. It just, from that moment on, you know, I loved watching movies. And then, you know, we kept doing that for a couple of years until my dad he started working nights, and we really couldn't go to the drive-in a lot. So that's when I started, you know, my love for going to the video stores. You know, my mother would always take me and my brother to the video store, just get 2 movies and that's it. And I immediately would always go get Ghostbusters because I love Ghostbusters, still love Ghostbusters to this day. And I just love the idea that, you know, I could watch this whenever I wanted. But, you know, I would have to keep going to the video store to get it. So later on, you know, my uncle would come over, and when we got moved into a new house, my uncle brought over this massive box of VHS tapes, and each VHS tape had 3 movies on it. And that's when the idea hit me that you could actually own these movies. That way you keep watching them over and over again and not have to go and rent them. So I was just fascinated by this, and we spent the night at his house one night, and I noticed he had, you know, some VCRs set up where he would dub one tape onto another, and that's how he built his collection. So from that moment forward, that's all I ever did. I would do errands, I'd mow yards, or, you know, clean the house up, or do whatever to get enough money saved up to where I could buy blank VHS tapes, and then I would just record movies I would go to Blockbuster and rent. And I had a sizable collection. I had roughly 200 tapes, and each with 3 movies on them. You know, I would rent movies and tape them that way, or I would just tape them straight off HBO or Showtime or whatever. But, you know, it came to a point where, you know, the tapes do wear out, and, you know, the quality's not as good. So I was in Blockbuster one day, and I noticed that they had previously viewed VHS tapes. And these are like almost brand new, but they were priced relatively cheap. You know, you could get a movie that just came in, wait a month or whatever, and it was like $20. So I began, you know, going back to, you know, mowing yards or taking out the trash or whatever, just whatever I could to earn money, so I could go to a, you know, Blockbuster or a Hollywood Video or any kind of video store and just purchase those tapes. And then, you know, Walmart would do it. I would do the same thing with Walmart and Kmart and so on and so forth. And then that just kept building up. I had boxes and boxes of just, you know, the rental copy of the VHS tape of movies just stacked up everywhere. And then a friend of mine, you know, it said, well, what have you heard anything about this DVD thing? I never really got into LaserDisc. I always thought those were just kind of bulky and they were too expensive, and I never really got into it. I said, you know, this thing will never keep on. Movies on a disc, I mean, come on, give me a break. It's VHS tapes. Well, a friend of mine said, have you heard about this new thing called DVD? And I said, well, isn't that just like a compressed form of a LaserDisc? And he said, well, yeah, but I mean, these DVDs that come out, I mean, they're not like $40, $50. I mean, well, some of them might be, but when I first started, it was around 1999, and they weren't really that expensive. I mean, some of the like Criterion DVDs were expensive, but normal DVDs really weren't that expensive. So I was like, okay, let me try this out. And I really couldn't go anywhere to rent a DVD player. So I had to use the money that I got for Christmas one year. And I remember we went to Kmart on Christmas night, because they opened the doors at midnight, December 26th. So I went into a Kmart and I bought my first DVD player, and I still have the first DVD I ever purchased, and it is, Deep Blue Sea. I still have this. I'll always keep this copy of any kind of DVD that I have. If something were to happen to all of them, this one I would make sure that I still keep. And when I first started getting the DVDs, I was like, my God, it's like a whole new world was opening up to me. So I pawned my VHS tapes to get money to go out and buy more DVDs. I like the idea of being able to watch a certain title whenever I wanted to. No matter if it was night, day, whatever. If it was on TV, it doesn't matter. I had a copy of it. And then that led to me just buying almost every single DVD that I could get my hands on. Whether I had seen it or not, I made sure that I had a copy of it. I would, go to work and come home. Each week I would maybe buy 8 titles each week. I wanted to have that. I wanted to build a collection. That way, if anything were to happen, if the cable were to go out or anything, I had something to watch. And that kept going on and going on. I just kept building and building and building and building until I got to where I met, my girlfriend, who became my fiance, then became my wife. I had to curb that down a little bit because I was getting a house. I had to worry about, light bill, cell phone bill, gas, everything like that. So I had to cut down on the things that I purchased. Back then I would, get 10 titles a week. Now I'm getting maybe 3 titles a month. But I always kept collecting. I didn't get everything that I saw, but I just got the ones that I cared about, that I really wanted to have in my collection. And, I still have them back there in the back. Those are the majority of what's left of my DVDs. And then once Blu-ray came out, I was firmly on the side of HD DVD, because that was the first time, when Transformers was released on physical media, it was either DVD or HD DVD. And I think, well, all right, I'm going to side with HD DVD since they had that. And, as you all know, HD DVD didn't last long, maybe 2 years at the most, maybe a year. So I begrudgingly went to Blu-ray, and I got my first Blu-ray player, and it wasn't really a player itself. It was the Sony PlayStation, because I was a gamer back then. So I was like, well, since they also have a Blu-ray, I'll go ahead and pick that up. And I have the first ones I ever bought for Blu-ray, which was Spider-Man 3, which came with the PlayStation. So I really don't count that, but that was really the first Blu-ray I had in my hand. And then the first one I really bought was for Step Brothers. Now, I really didn't buy DVDs as much. As soon as Blu-ray hit, I kind of stopped buying DVDs because I noticed that the picture was better, the audio was better, and they just crammed so much more special features onto the disc. I didn't think DVD was going to be able to keep up. It will go out with, the Betamax. Well, as we see, DVD's still plugging along. I think it still outsells Blu-rays and 4K DVDs, 4K Blu-rays. Well, but I still kept collecting. You know, I just kept buying and kept buying. You know, I was able at that point in my life where I could just, you know, I can go ahead and splurge a little bit more. You know, instead of buying 3 titles a month, I would buy maybe 7 titles, 8 titles, and it's grown to what you see back here. And at one point, I believe I had close to 2,000 in my collection at one time. And that's DVD and Blu-ray. And then I had my basement flooded and it destroyed close to 500 titles. You know, I lost all of my slip covers and everything. We went on vacation. I was putting in new shelves, and we left and my hot water heater blew and it just flooded everything, ruined everything that was literally down on the floor, including the brand new shelves that I bought. So at that point, I came home, I got rid of everything that was ruined, and I said, you know, that's it. I'm done. I'm not going to purchase any more physical copies of anything. I can't go through this again. So I started getting digital titles. You know, I still have, you know, my account at Voodoo, but I was heavily into Voodoo, and not the seance thing where it turns you into zombies. I mean, Voodoo is a, you know, streaming website. We have digital copies of, you know, TV shows and movies and whatnot. So I would, you know, purchase movies through there, and I was like, well, this will be it. I'm going to have my collection this way, and I'll just stop, you know, collecting all this stuff. Because I mean, I was mad because I felt, you know, all of these were destroyed, and I wasn't going to get anything back from it. So that was kind of the easy way out. And then when the pandemic hit, I noticed certain things being taken off of streaming. You know, 30 Rock episodes were pulled. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episodes were pulled. An episode of Community was pulled. You know, I understand the reason behind that, but I did some more investigating, and, you know, it could happen to even the Voodoo site, where I don't really own those titles. So from that moment on, I just switched back, you know, to, all right, I'm going back into this. And I've had to, you know, build my collection back up again. But I love the idea of being able to go to, you know, a Best Buy or a Barnes & Noble, or hell, even Walmart now, even though it's kind of slimmed down. I don't even bother with Target anymore. They're just a lost cause to me. But going in and being able to pick up, you know, say this copy of Step Brothers and say, you know, this is mine. You know, if the internet goes out, or if the cable goes out, you know, I'm going to have something to watch. And, you know, this day and age, you know, streaming, the compression rate, and those of us in the community know that, yes, streaming's good, but it's not as good as owning the physical copy of it. You know, it looks better, it sounds better. And I like the idea of being able to own it and no one can take it from me. Well, with the exception of a blown water heater, that took copies away from me. But being able to own it, watch it whenever I want, and, you know, it can't be taken away from me. And it's great. And it's a hobby to us. You know, a lot of people say, why are you doing this when it's on streaming? Well, it's something that we like. We're not hurting anybody. We love it. We love collecting. I mean, it just, you know, when you go Blues Day Tuesday, you know, new release Tuesday, when you go into a Best Buy and you see all the new releases there, well, most of them have all the new releases out. Some of them don't. They're sitting in the back somewhere. But you go in there and you feel like a kid. You know, you're going out there picking out your titles, which ones you want to get, which ones you've been waiting for. And just the other day, I was watching my friend Bob's Blu-ray. He made a video where he got a box from a couple of his, you know, they gave him some physical media, some Blu-rays and DVDs, or Blu-rays and 4Ks. And he was opening them up, and it was like a kid at Christmas. He was opening them up and going, wow, look at all this. I mean, I've been dying to get all this. It makes us happy. We love it. So that's why I love collecting physical media. It brings me back to, I can get a little piece of my childhood back from when my uncle first gave us that big box of VHS tapes. It takes me back to going into Kmart that late night on Christmas night. Instead of being at home asleep, I'm out there getting my first DVD player, my first DVD movie. And it takes me back to, yeah, it was a bad time when I lost all those copies, but it made me appreciate it a lot more when I got back into the game. You know, it's hard when you leave something and then come back to it. You're playing catch up. Because when I stopped, or when I first started getting into DVDs, you know, there was only really one boutique label, and that was the Criterion Collection. And then I stopped for about, you know, I really wasn't getting into it. I stopped for close to 10 years. You know, I would buy a title here, buy a title there, but I mean, it wasn't like I was. So I had no idea, you know, once the pandemic hit, that's when I was introduced to, you know, Vinegar Syndrome and Synapse and Second Sight. You know, I knew nothing about this until, you know, I started watching everybody else's videos. I'm like, oh, so there's someone out there that's like me. And it's so great, you know, to be able to hold like this copy of Dawn of the Dead, Second Sight. It's, you know, they don't sell this here. I treasure this. I absolutely love being able to hold this, and it's got 3 cuts of this movie on there. You can't, this is not even on streaming anywhere. I've got 3 cuts of it. And, you know, each one's like a little bit different. I absolutely love the fact that I can pick out something, even if I've seen it, even if I haven't seen it. It'll take me back to a time like what happened when I first saw it. That, you know, wonderment when I first saw things. I just absolutely love it. So, now you know why I collect physical media. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Should I keep going? Do I have a problem? I don't think I have a problem. But just let me know down there in the comment section. Let me know your feelings on collecting physical media. And until next time, what are you watching today?